The scheming Tokugawa had been put on the back foot in their surprise war on the imperial fiefdoms, finding that the strength of the counterattack, led by the Empress herself, was overwhelming his armies at a devastating pace. And while the land was being impressed with such displays of power, visitors to the imperial court were witnesses to displays of other virtues.
I know it is him, Kanpaku.
How?
Who else could it have been?
What evidence do you have that these men worked for Lord Mogami?
He's a coward. Exactly the sort of man to send spies sneaking around my castle.
Have you apprehended any of these spies?
Not yet.
Have you identified who they are informing and how?
No, Kanpaku.
Then it is unlikely you can say anything of who they are working for.
But there isn't any other possibility.
I disagree. I cannot act without proof, Lord Nambu.
Proof? What exactly do you expect? What if I die in my sleep because you wouldn't lift a finger for the lords you and your emperors are meant to protect?
Lord, your worry is understandable, but we cannot simply punish any who are suspect. However, there is something we can do for you. We have many experts in the detection and capture of agents. I think it would be the Empress's wish that we loan you such an advisor. He will ensure your safety, and that the truth of the matter is found out.
So be it. I will report back on this matter as soon as I can, Lady Kanpaku.
Thank you, Lord Nambu.
Who is next?
Lady Kanpaku, you honor the imperial throne with your generous provisions to Lord Nambu. I have just arrived from Shikoku and bring news of great strife. The crops have failed, and we have spent all we have to rid ourselves of brigands. No, Lord, even my own daimyo will listen to my plea for aid. I am forced to bow before you and beg that you do not allow my people to be punished for my own failings. We will not. Food and seed shall be provided. The Empress shall pay all debts owed. My lady, this man is a vassal to Lord Chosokabe. I see. Such measures are only available to those lands who have given a representative to the imperial court. Please, Lady Kanpaku, there must be something. There is one other option. The Empress has set aside her own monies to help those in need. If you wish, I will arrange for a caravan to visit you in her name. Please, please. Yes, my lady, thank you so much. My lord will surely be ashamed by your thoughtful conduct.
We hope so, Lord. We're saving a seat for him here. Remind him of that. Right, so who's next?
Hello there and welcome back to Nariko's Treasure. Last time we took Jogaji Fortress to the northeast there from the Tokugawa, and now I've also taken Okazaki Castle. This basically means we now control the front line of the Tokugawa's domain. We have their border castles, so we can now make that our own line of defense against them. So with that set up, I wanted to head back into our core, mainly because Kikuchi is at it again. We need to cut him down and stop him from attacking our villages. On the way, spotted a Tokugawa army led by Kagura attacking Lord Shibata, and it looked like we were about to lose this battle. Luckily, the cavalry have very literally arrived, so Nariko just sweeps in to suddenly strike against the Tokugawa force, and they don't last long at all against this heavy cavalry charge, especially with Shibata's frontline forces already keeping them occupied. They basically had no chance. So we were able to save our allied officer and get rid of another Tokugawa army. So we moved on looking for Kikuchi, eventually tracking him down, and when I came to actually fight him, I had tons of allies on my side, so we just overwhelmed him, and there's not much to that battle. He was also refusing to talk to us still. Now, shortly after, I went back to the front line and captured Lord Nishio of the Tokugawa, but after I did, the Mori clan suddenly declared war on me, apparently in reaction to me capturing him because it caused a relationship penalty for whatever reason. So that's inconvenient. The Mori clan, pretty big, pretty powerful, although their domain doesn't border us. They only have this one castle up here in the old Uesugi territory, which probably used to be ours and then got defected over to them. So that's the only one that's really a threat to us and they might attack us from, but we'll still have to keep in mind they might crusade from the west to come and find us. So I ended up pushing against the Tokugawa some more, and pushing all the way to Great Lord Tokugawa himself over by their capital. He said he was willing to go in for peace, and although I think we're definitely winning the war and probably would take more territory, I said fine, we'll go for peace. But actually, just a few moments later, after I left, they immediately declared war on me again. So that was highly suspicious. I've never seen that happen. So they just broke the truce agreement immediately after it was made. Clearly they have no intention of actually being at peace with us. So I went back to Great Lord Tokugawa and to see if he wanted to go back into peace or just try and find out what's happening. But right now he wants massive sums of money and for us to give them Odawara, the Hojo capital, which we currently control, as a price for a new truce. So not sure what's happening there, but obviously we are not going to be playing ball with that kind of negotiation. So I headed over to the Hojo territory where you can see Odawara, their capital, already under our control, because I wanted to try and find Great Lord Hojo to see what his opinion on peace was. Went over towards Edo, but I didn't find him, unfortunately. He must be over with Nara and Sakai, much nearer to our territory. I found a Hojo lord. Unfortunately, you can't ask lords where the other guys in their clan are while you're at war with them, so I couldn't get any information on where to find Great Lord Hojo. He also appeared to be loyal to Hojo, so we couldn't try to get him to defect. So I decided to just fight him. Since we were here, he only had 30 or so men, so nothing came of that. However, after the battle, I took him prisoner, and once again we get an immediate declaration of war. The Shimazu clan this time declaring war. So it seems that taking these prisoners all of a sudden is getting the other clans really angry at us, or at least something is. So now we've got Shimazu potentially coming at us. They're even further away than the Mori, so less likely to actually do anything there. But still worrying, because we're now at war with Hojo, Tokugawa, Mori and Shimazu, a group of the biggest clans in the land, all at war with us at once. We need to sort this out.
They must be colluding. They can't face us on their own.
Your Majesty, that may not concern them. Mori and Shimazu are both proud and independent as families go. They see that no one can stand up to us, and they take it as a challenge.
So they're jealous that we're top dog, that's what you're saying?
And what we're hearing now is their last bark. Not to mention both those lords in particular being anti-imperial on account of their involvement with massacre.
We are strong, but together all these clans could still break us apart. We need to reassure them that we're not going to hurt their pride.
I don't think there will be a way to avoid doing so. I'm sure many oaths depend on our downfall.
Well, they've heard my peace deal before. Clearly letting them keep virtually all their power isn't enough. But the thing about Massacre, we haven't really made it clear that she's out of the picture. I think if we could convince them that she isn't going to be a problem anymore, they would feel less need to settle that issue. But isn't this a case where Masako knows too much or whatever? Are they going to be comfortable knowing that she's talking behind their backs instead of just right to their faces? She won't be talking to anyone. You're going to keep her locked in a tower her whole life? That's what it'll take. They aren't really going to be thinking like that, are they?
Forgive me, Your Majesty, but I think we all know the truth of it. You defend your mother out of obligation, but I advise you forget such defaming links. There is one solution that the nobility would likely agree is worth a great price to see complete.
No, Kojiro.
Think of what we could bargain for.
No! We're not killing her. She's my mother, and I still need time to work out exactly what that means. But I know now that she needs to live.
Are you immovable on this topic?
Yes, you shouldn't be asking. Look, we just need to send out messages to explain the situation to everyone, and get Nariko to read it out at court. News will spread soon enough. That will calm everything down.
You are correct, Your Majesty. I will not say nor think any further on the matter. I returned back near the capital, wanting to be able to react to anything that happened from here. Then I started following some of my forces who appeared to be going on an invasion a couple of days later, and we actually received, while travelling, a peace offer from Shimazu, which I will accept. So it seems that our plan has somewhat worked. They were not willing to actually be at war with us when it came down to it. Now, I ended up going back towards Nara because Kikuchi was once again attacking our villages, and we teamed up with a few allied officers who were already fighting him and probably would have actually won on their own, but we're just going to step in with the cavalry to make sure this battle definitely ends in our favour and ends a little bit quicker. So our forces just overrun Kikuchi, and that's him defeated once again. Now you may have noted that with our war with the Hojo, it's basically just Kikuchi fighting us. The rest of the Hojo officers have all but given up, and we of course can't even find Great Lord Hojo, so they are staying well out of this. I actually had the opportunity to take Kikuchi prisoner, but I'm going to let him go because taking prisoners seems to be causing a little bit of political tension right now, so we'll allow him to just disappear off wherever he wants to go. Really, I'm thinking now we just need to finish the Hojo off. I've been hoping to force them to surrender territory to us by going to negotiate peace with Lord Hojo. But when I came back to Kyoto, I found that a lot of our officers are actually here in Kyoto waiting to join us, so that explains something at least. There's actually a whole load of guys waiting to join us here, not all Hojo, but about half of the officers waiting were from Hojo. A lot of the others are just guys who used to work for clans that have now been destroyed. They were probably then working for other clans and have come to join us all of a sudden. It's because we have lots of unassigned fiefs, because assigning them is causing so much tension that I'm just not really doing it all that much. And when you have unassigned fiefs, lords will just come to join you in the hope that they will get those fiefs at some point. Now, as it happened, one of the officers that we took from Hojo there controlled Edo, so we've just taken that city for free, which is nice, although it's not really what we need or particularly want. We just need Nara and Sakai to secure our core regions here, but with the Hojo now cut down to just those two cities and without many officers left, we can be sure that they are totally on the back foot. The fight has already been taken out of them long ago. Really, we just need to go and secure a peace deal that finally ends this whole thing in the way that we need, and a few days later I actually find Great Lord Hojo to go and sort this out. He was sitting in Sakai with a small group of other officers, all of the remaining Hojo officers who I believe are feasting here. We're going to get him out and we are going to finally end this thing.
I would be quite happy to accept your surrender, Lord Hojo. Who said anything about surrender? Your retainers did. If you're wondering why your feast is so empty, it is because half of them are currently feasting in my palace. They tell me that you will be surrendering shortly, so wanted to get a head start. Seeing how happy it makes you to gloat over this turns my stomach. No, I will not surrender to you. Your clan is through, Lord. Your homelands are under our control, and these cities you hide in are loyal to us also. You will not be able to raise a single troop in your defense. I do not need troops. I need but a dagger and a quiet evening to avoid this shame. No, Lord, there is no shame. To serve the imperial fiefdoms is a higher honor even than being a daimyo. Impossible. To serve in defeat, as a prisoner. That is not a life that a daimyo can tolerate. Not a good daimyo, anyway. You'll throw your life away over that point. Clearly not everyone agrees. You must at least give it some time. You are incorrect, Empress. That is the last I will say of it. My men will introduce you to my son. If you wish the Hojo to persist so badly, you will make him lord of our lands as vassal. Of course, but I'd rather give that position to you. I think everyone would prefer it. Your Majesty, he wishes to redeem himself, to pay for those who lost their lives by trusting in him. It is not right to interfere with that wish. Okay. Thank you, Lord Hojo, for your cooperation. The people of Kenai will rejoice at your decision. I imagine they will, and I suppose that is all that matters to you. I bid you farewell, Majesty, and go to do the same to my family. And should you happen across Lord Kikuchi again, tell him I upheld my side of the oath. I'll do that. Goodbye. Is this really necessary? It will honor his family, Your Majesty. His name will remain clean despite this war. That will last longer than the years he has left. I suppose. Don't think I'll ever really understand it. To die is nothing, Your Majesty. There is really quite little in need of being understood.
The war has come to an end and we've finally achieved our strategic objective of getting Nara and Sakai back under control, with the bonus of actually taking all of the Hojo's territory along the way before actually doing so. So the Hojo are now going to be eliminated as a clan entirely. That's the end of them. What's left of them is now part of the imperial fiefdoms, of course. So that's one fewer enemy to worry about as well. So we're simply now going to move on to our next strongest and most important enemy, the Tokugawa. My plan against them right now is to team up with allied officers like Lord Ito here to go and attack the castles that they have scattered around our domain, to reunify everything, get all of our bits of territory connected back together, and prevent the Tokugawa from having any opportunities to attack us from different directions, basically limit them to just their own core. So first we're making another assault on Ichodani Castle. As we advance, a lot of the enemy's army actually started coming outside the castle and rushing along that little cliff edge there, as you can see on the left. So not sure what they were trying to do, but gave us the nice opportunity to just run inside and now attack all of these skirmishers with relatively few defenders left to stop us from doing that. So we're going to inflict massive damage on their army by hitting their guys where they are weak, basically. Nariko being very exploitative, using her pike through these tower supports to hit people who can't hit her back. You can see that fight going on outside the window as our troops finish off the enemy's melee forces, and our forces inside the castle will now take all of these towers, wiping out all of the troops defending them with ease. So that was the easy bit of the battle, basically. Now we had to go and make these dangerous climbs up into the castle, where we're going to be taking fire the entire time, and they are indeed dangerous enough that Nariko herself takes a wound on the way up the steps, so that is unfortunate. Now we have plenty of troops still, and they're going to carry on, so I thought we might as well just leave them to attack. But after I brought the camera up to take a look at what's behind the gate sneakily, I realized this is going to be costly. The enemy have a big blob of guys with pikes and spears waiting just behind the gate. So what I ordered instead is a retreat and then just go straight back into the siege. Doing this basically delays the attack. It makes us have to wait a couple more days before we can take it, but it allows all of our wounded troops to come back into action to give us a bigger advantage. Now, the Tokugawa clan offer a peace deal while I was preparing the next wave of our assault. So I basically said, well, I'll take peace if you just give me this castle that I'm besieging right now, since we've already invested in it. But they just break off negotiations immediately, not wishing to do so. Although the good news is that the Mogami clan, one of the clans in the north of Japan, wants a non-aggression pact. So that's nice to actually enter formal relations with us. We don't worry too much about those northern clans because that area of Japan is very undensely populated and generally not politically important. So here we are with the next wave of the assault. More troops coming outside the castle to try and face us, but they barely have any melee troops left here, as you can see, so we can cut them down in a much easier fight than it would have been to hack through that gate up at the top and fight them in the choke point. And now once again we'll thin out the enemy's skirmisher numbers by killing the few skirmishers they have defending the exterior of the castle. Nariko herself going in to make sure the job is done on this particular tower, although taking hit immediately herself from the guys up higher up on the mountain firing down. So once again the climb will have to be made, but it was much easier because there were fewer skirmishers and barely anyone defending behind the gates. So we basically hacked our way up and Nariko was left at the back, unable to push through to the front of the fight, but still able to sharpshoot a few of the enemies to cut them down. Just a handful left inside so our troops can go finish that off, and that's all well and good. Although after taking the castle, the Mori clan declares war on us. Now I thought we were already at war with the Mori clan, so I guess they must have got peace with me at some point that I forgot about, and now we're back at war. But basically nothing came of that first war, so now we're just at war again. So ultimately nothing is really changing here. You can see I'm talking to Ito because sometimes when you fight a battle with your lords, they will like you more for having shared in that experience, but in that case it didn't work, so that's unfortunate, especially because Ito doesn't really like us. Anyway, next on the list was Obama Castle, just over to the west from Ichodani. Going to be a similar affair to the previous battle, where we just try and overwhelm the enemy with both our numbers and the sheer strength of our quality troops. So we hack into the castle easily, not much resistance, but then there are loads of skirmishers in this gallery just over the gate. Nariko pops in to shoot one of them, but realizing they're about to shoot me back, I get out of the way. But some of my allied troops here are being much more brave and actually just walking backwards into the enemy's ranks. Truly a sign of disrespect, I guess, for the low quality of the enemy's Ashigaru troops. So Nariko steps in to help them out here, using the pike to full effect. The enemy very distracted and in most cases appearing to be just paralyzed with fear at the brazenness of our assault and not really doing anything. So we quickly capture that gallery. Some of our army goes to open the gate to get deeper into the castle where more of the enemy are laying in wait, but most of the enemy's army is dead at this point, and we're just going to finish off a few survivors here in this tower on the corner of the castle. And these guys again appear to just be completely paralyzed with fear until Nariko gets in really close, but then it's too late. So they clearly weren't paying much attention or just had no idea at all what to do and just awaited their fate. And that's pretty much what's going to happen to the rest of the defenders in that castle. So next up I was heading to the southeast. There was one more Tokugawa castle I had prioritized for capturing. On the way we get another offer of peace from the Tokugawa, so clearly they are thinking about it, seeing that we're now just taking their territory very, very rapidly. So I'm going to ask them to give me the castle that I'm going to capture now. The only problem was I couldn't remember if it was Takane Castle or Tamaru Castle, the one that I wanted. I ended up gambling on it being at Tamaru. They accepted my deal, so we are going to get that castle and we are going to get peace with the Tokugawa. And the final question was, what exactly did I just take in that peace deal? And it was actually the one I wanted, the one right on the end of this peninsula here with Uji, Mari's home village. So with that done, you can see our domain looks a lot more secure. We can open the world map to get a better view of the territorial situation for each clan. So we now control the middle of Japan, the important and the rich bit, and control all of the trade routes heading east as well. This is a pretty decent looking domain now. The Tokugawa taking major losses in that war and us gaining quite a bit. The Okita have Ishiyama Fortress. That's the one little block of blue in our territory that we need to get rid of on the left hand side there. But apart from that, it appears we are now definitely in a position to dominate the land.
Are you out there? Yes, my lady. Apologies, but they changed the guard rota. I couldn't come earlier. Yes, just tell me what's going on. Hojo has surrendered, and his vassals have sworn to Nariko. The route from Sakai to Edo is completely under her control. That explains why so many troops are suddenly back in the garrison. Not just that, my lady, but the Tokugawa have given truce after losing 3 more castles and most of their troops. They are crippled and are now contained only to the coast around Hamamatsu. And what you told me before about Mori and Shimazu, does that still hold true? Yes, my lady, they are as paralyzed as before, and the other clans just sit and wait. This could be enough. I really can't wait to get out of this damn place. I think it's time we started acting. How many men do we have in the palace? But a handful, my lady. We still need more time to place agents in the staff. We cannot appear suddenly without it being quite unnatural. That's not entirely true. Nariko will soon be in a position to begin dictating laws, not merely asking the lords to agree to them. She will need to hold another national court with all the daimyo. With people arriving from all over the land, it would be usual for unfamiliar faces to be seen around the capital. Wisely put, my lady. I shall inform you if such a chance arises. It will. It most certainly will. But there are questions beyond merely getting access. With the lords present, it will be necessary to win them around on the matter of Nariko, perhaps even before we act. You need to begin the rumors we discussed. Of course. I have a man with quite a convincing act as a drunken courtier prepared. Soon the city shall know of the secrets he was not meant to reveal. Excellent. There is much more to think on, but luckily I have nothing else to do but think on it. Our plans shall be as considered as it is possible for them to be. You had best return nightly from now on, for I shall have more orders. Yes, my lady. I will depart for now. I was right about you, Nariko. You really are going to conquer this land. Only the easy part remains. Easy enough for anyone to do.
For my next move, I'm consulting something I haven't really used in this campaign. This is the faction relations report that tells you what the other factions think of you and what your faction as a whole thinks of the other factions. Now we can see that we have casus belli with the Uesugi and they have it with us. This basically means that both clans expect to be at war with each other, and you actually get a penalty if you don't go along with this and actually declare war and get things going. You lose relations with all your lords. Plus, the Uesugi happen to be splitting our territory apart right now, so now for the first time, we're actually going to just go on a war of conquest. We're going to take the Uesugi clan purely because they are a rival of us, and you can see we get bonuses to our relations with all lords as a result of acting on the casus belli and standing up for our clan, basically. So that's good news. There's the official declaration of war. We're going to move out to put down this key rival with a vendetta against us, hoping that after that we will have relative security across our domain and perhaps across the entire land. My plan for this attack was to go and gather up all of the Uesugi lords who already defected onto our side and get them to form the majority of the army, since they're going to be the most motivated to finish off reunifying the Uesugi clan under Lady Yamanouchi. Lord Murakami unfortunately says that he has better things to do than come along on our campaign against Uesugi, so that's annoying, but he is not obligated to follow us because we're not technically the strategist, and the clan technically isn't on military campaign, we're just at war, which is a slightly different state of affairs. Lord Kitaju here does come along with us, and he was actually going to attack Great Lord Uesugi, who happened to be out in the field here. He's rushing back to the city of Kasagiyama, but we can catch up with him quickly and bring in Kitaju as reinforcements, so we can get this war started with a nice decisive battle fighting the enemy's main force led by their faction leader. We can make a strong statement here. The enemy's numbers slightly higher than ours, and we're also going to have the disadvantage that our force is disunified, so our allied troops are going to go do their own thing and ignore what Nariko is doing. But still, high hopes, of course, thanks to the quality of our own men. It should be enough to win the day. I'm also experimenting here with a new cavalry weapon. This is a different spear than what I usually have. Basically, it's longer, but it can't be couched like a lance, which means it does less damage in big charge attacks, although it doesn't really matter if it's jabbing into the enemy at short range. Anyway, in come the infantry for a fight. Nariko right out in front of our line as the battle gets started, has to dodge away, taking a few hits in the process. I'm ordering the cavalry to attack the enemy, but they're really out of position. Some of the enemy's cavalry basically went and fought with mine, so we weren't really in a proper flanking position. We end up charging kind of through our own men, so we can't get the usual decisive cavalry blow. We're going to rely a lot in this battle on the infantry, a big brawl starting as the enemy charge all of their infantry into my front line. I'm going to order my guys to charge forwards as well, to basically just fight it out man to man, or in many cases woman to man, since we have so many Onobushi on our side. Nariko can help out by attacking their back lines and taking out these stragglers as they come in, and basically this fight ends immediately because our heavy forces are so effective in melee. They just slash apart the enemy's Ashigaru forces and can rush forwards. The enemy have tons of skirmishers though grouped up further up this hill. We are just going to charge right in and try and do immediate damage to them with our whole army, getting in there and slashing all about the place with the sword. That's trying to damage the enemy. They're doing plenty of damage back, but our armor and the fact that we're quickly gaining numerical advantage means that's not going to be a problem. This fight's going to end real fast. We cut most of them down. A few start running away, but they're already basically surrounded by our own cavalry, who just quickly rush over and take them down as well. That's bringing this battle to an end. So exactly what we needed to start the war in a decisive sort of way, taking out one of the enemy's major armies and disgracing their faction leader, showing the way that this war is going to go to anyone who might be onlooking, taking surprisingly high casualties for a field battle as a result of our couple of disadvantages there, but overall nothing to worry about. I continued gathering up more forces. My initial plan was to head east and take this castle along the road, but the Satake clan has already appeared to take it from the Uesugi. I guess they were already at war. So that's inconvenient. It means we won't take that extra territory, although we don't necessarily need it right now. We're going to focus on Kasagiyama, and you can see I eventually gathered up a gigantic war host with about 10 different officers and armies coming to help me on this attack. Before we went in to actually get anything started, you can see the Mori clan offered peace to us, a very enticing deal indeed. I originally started thinking I might ask for something in return, but no, I think we just want to secure this peace up immediately. So that is basically taking the war off all of our borders except the Uesugi ones, and we hopefully will be able to end this war very soon. I'm going to prepare all of these armies for a massive battle at Kasagiyama to finally end this whole conflict. The clans of Japan were being forced into a dependency on the imperial fiefdoms, both through imperial control of the major trading hubs and through demonstrations of how quickly the troops loyal to Nariko could overwhelm their opposition. The contest for the shogunate of Japan was nearly over, for now their empress was willing and able to act as shogun when required, yet determined that the need for a military dictatorship be removed forever. Through the final days of the war, the vision of that future was becoming clear to all, yet such a vision was still not the only possible outcome. That is all for now. Thank you so much for watching. So we'll be seeing if Nariko really can drive the whole of the Sengoku Jidai to end in the way that she would wish in the next and final episode of Nariko's Treasure.